Shrutveti deva madvakyam kaivalya jnanamuttamam japanto mama namani mama dhyana parayana. Hearing my words on the supreme knowledge as a means to release, chanting my names, giving themselves to meditating on me, the gods, Sarve te svasvadehante matsyayujyam gata pura tatogre paridrishyante padartha madvibhutaya. In days of yore, all of them attained union with me at the end of their lifetimes. From such knowledge, all things everywhere are seen by them as manifestations of my glory. Mayeva sakalang jatang mayi sarvang pratishtitam mayi sarvang layang yati tad brahmadvayamasmyaham. From me alone everything is born. In me, everything is established. In me, everything is resolved. I am that Brahman which is secondless.
Namaste. Wow, what beautiful verses these are. These are my favorites so far in the whole book. What does he say? Madvakyam Kaivalya Jnanam Uttamam. My words giving the ultimate knowledge of pure liberation, Kaivalya. See, there's mukti, which is liberation in Saguna Brahman. Then there's moksha, which is liberation in Nirguna Brahman. And this is what's called Kaivalya, because it's pure. Unmixed is what Kaivalya really means. Unmixed, non-dual liberation through jnana, self-realization. See, jnana, even though it's translated knowledge, I mean, there really isn't an English word that expresses it. It's not ordinary knowledge made up of words and symbols. It's direct, realized knowledge of the supreme consciousness, pure, free from any material taint, and even free from spiritual qualities. So this is very extreme, topmost liberation. And this is what we're after. This is what we want. That's our target. So Shiva's words are the guide how to get there. And also, Japanto mama namani, chanting my names. We highly recommend any of the Shiva mantras, especially Om Namah Shivaya, and the Shiva Sahasranama, which we have made a video on. And you can also download an MP3 from the video description there and play it on your phone or whatever while you're driving or, anything, doing anything. This is what got me through the last time I had Shade Sati, which is a Saturn transit of your moon sign, a 7.5-year period of Saturn influence, which is usually delays, difficulties, disappointments, losses, that kind of stuff. And last time it happened, I was in the US. Oh, God, it was really, really difficult. This time it's going on again right now, actually. And it's not so bad. It's really not so bad at all, because I have my sadhana and I have spiritual names of Shiva, and every day chanting his names leads to, so much bliss. Like last night, I had this dream. I was on this beautiful tropical island, and there were buildings, and there was, beaches and forests and lakes, and everything was so beautiful, and it was all like covered in bliss. I would even say smothered in bliss. And of course, Ma was there, because this is her kind of territory, Shakti Ma was there. And she was just really casually, beautiful young girl in a white dress, walking down a forest path and going, "Hey, this is great, isn't it? You like my world?" Yes, we do. But this is only a step on the way to Kaivalya. The beings who make it to the liberation in Saguna Brahman then live for the rest of the duration of the universe until they can attain liberation in Nirguna Brahman. This is the path. This is what is described very clearly in Brahma Sutra, which, of course, we have a series on in chapter 4. So in days of yore, all the gods attained liberation, union with Shiva at the end of their lifetimes. Their lifetimes could be anywhere from 1 kalpa to the duration of the complete creation, just depending on how they were born and what their qualities are. But at the end of those lifetimes, they attained union with Shiva. How? Well, let's go back to the previous verse again. Hearing Shiva's words, which is what we're doing right now. We're hearing his words describing his ontological position and how to reach him by chanting his names. This is so powerful. It sounds so simple, and it really is easy to practice. But it is so powerful. There is nothing really to compare with it. Of course, people who are conditioned by material life like to play with ideas and make big ceremonies and, elaborate worship and stuff like that. That's all unnecessary. All you have to do is maybe a little puja and a lot of chanting. That's the mix that got me here. So I highly recommend it. Because from the knowledge you get from Shiva, you see him everywhere, in everything. All things everywhere are seen as manifestations of his glory. So that's it. When the sun rises in the morning, when the moon is seen at night, the ocean, the sky, the world, everything is actually him, because it's based on his energy. And because he is the ultimate friend, we love him automatically. Only he is capable of satisfying the deep thirst for knowledge, companionship, and love. That's all there is to it. And the more we try to satisfy the natural urges of the soul in this material world with material objects, the more frustrated we become. Because the material things just cannot satisfy us. They're impermanent, they're faulty, unsatisfactory, and they're not self. But Shiva is the self, completely satisfactory. And he is also non-dual, eternal, and the ultimate reality. So how can anything less than that be satisfying? Especially once you know about Shiva, that's really kind of the end of the line, for all these material attachments. Once you know about something so wonderful, someone so beautiful and powerful that his worship completely satisfies the soul, I mean, what else is there? Why mess around? Just go straight to the goal. Shivoham, Shivoham. That's the real thing. And then he finally again states that everything is born from him, everything rests in him, and everything goes to him in the end. He is the secondless Brahman, one without a second, as it's said in the Upanishads. And even Shiva is just a symbol of that Brahman, because that Brahman actually cannot be represented by any symbol. It cannot be seen because it never becomes an object. Brahman is always a subject, a seer, not the seen. But because of our limitations and our addiction to objective knowledge and so on, he manifests a form through his Maya. Shankaracharya states that Shiva's form is Brahman reflected in Maya. So, like everything else created by Maya, it's illusory in the sense that the original form, Brahman, is imperceptible. That doesn't mean that it's unreal. Just like you cannot see your own eyes without a mirror or something like that. So in the same way, Brahman cannot be seen because Brahman is the self, the seer. But when Brahman is reflected in Maya, then so many forms and objects and pastimes and activities come into being. And that is how we know Shiva. That's the only way we know him. And the only way we can know Brahman with our existing conceptual apparatus, the mind. Because the mind is based in duality. But once we get beyond the mind, beyond the ego, beyond the need to be a separate individual, then Shiva reveals himself as Brahman, as the self. And that's why we say, Shivoham, Shivoham. Aum Tat Sat, Aum Shakti Aum, Aum Namah Shivaya.